In both of Jennifer Paddock's first two novels, A Secret Word and Point Clear, her heroines tend to migrate to the Gulf Coast in order to start new lives. She is now writing the concluding novel of her trilogy, set, of course, in Destin and Fairhope. I spoke with Jennifer Paddock at the Friends Bookstore in the Fairhope Public Library during the annual gathering Southern Writers Reading. Jennifer, it's a pleasure to see you today.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming in. In your novels, in the first two novels, there are four major female characters, and two of them fled from, three altogether, fled from Fort Smith, Arkansas, or Tulsa, and came to either Destin or the Fairhope Point Clear. Apparently you think this is a real destination.
I do. It's a gorgeous area, just arty and beautiful with the live oaks and deeply Southern, and I'm enthralled with it still.
And you are a native of Fort Smith, Arkansas.
I am. I grew up, born and raised in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
But you're not there now.
I'm not there now, but actually when I was writing, especially my first book, A Secret Word, I grew up, in high school. I just couldn't wait to leave Fort Smith. But when I was writing about it, of course, I grew very fond of it and, loved it, and now feel quite proud to be from Fort Smith. And actually, when I went back to Fort Smith and gave a reading, the mayor gave me an award for making Fort Smith a more beautiful place. And I did my reading, and in the first lines of my first novel, I say that the characters couldn't wait to leave Fort Smith.
I know.
The mayor didn't mind that, though.
But Arkansas honored you in a very practical way. I think that it's got a funny little title. If all Arkansas read one book, something like that.
If all Arkansas read the same book.
Read the same book, and the book they all read was Secret Word. What was it? What part did you play? Did you go around and talk about the book?
I did. I went around with this wonderful lady named Jane Thompson, and she worked for the Arkansas State Library. And we got in the car and just traveled the state and went to high schools, libraries, a few colleges, and talked about my book. It was
How many different venues do you think there were where people read and discussed your book?
There were
20, 50, what?
20 to 30,
yeah,
around there.
Yeah.
But all over the state. So I got to see my state.
And sold some books.
Yes, sold some books, yes.
That's a good thing.
That's the good thing, definitely.
The book is the story of three, they start off as girls. They're high school girls. They are 16-ish when the action begins. And reading what people have said about you and the book itself, I don't think other people have said this precisely, but when James Dickey wrote Deliverance, the main three males in Deliverance, Dickey would always talk about as being three aspects of his own personality. And those three girls are sort of Jennifer Paddock divided into parts, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Two of them are children of privilege, and one is not. Let's talk about that. The two country club girls. How are they you?
Well, I grew up quite privileged. We had money when I was young, and I was a member of the country club, and I played tennis out there. And then later in my life, we didn't have as much money. We sort of, my father was struggling financially, and so in that way I could identify with Lee once I hit about a senior in high school and it was time to go to college. So I feel like I can relate to what it's like to feel secure and have money, and then also what it's like to be struggling.
Yeah. I liked Lee. I liked Lee quite a lot.
I love Lee too, yeah. She's easy to root for, I think.
Yes. She worked at a dry cleaners.
I did work at a dry cleaners.
I knew it.
Yes.
It had to be.
Yes.
They all, the two, Chandler and Sarah, leave first. They leave in the more conventional style. They are real tennis players. They go off to college, and then they go to New York City and so on. But they all, they're all young women in recent America, and they all have, you know, a struggle to make. What, you know, I know this is too big to handle in 2 minutes, but is it tough being a young woman on her own in America?
Well, sure. It's
Why?
It is. Well, it's hard to figure out who you are and who you want to be, and it's also hard to, when you're young, you sort of dream of finding that perfect person and perfect relationship, getting married, having a house, all of that, and all of those things are tough, and just being a teenager is hard, I think.
You went from, you went from Fort Smith, and I know you spent time in Tulsa.
Mm-hmm. I did.
A year?
I spent a year there. I played on the tennis team for at University of Tulsa.
Right.
I played for a semester, and then I quit. So
And where did you actually go to undergraduate school?
I did not do well at Tulsa in my classes, and I transferred to the University of Arkansas, and slowly but surely became a better student by the time I finished.
And did you go to NYU? I
did go to NYU. I went to the master's program in creative writing.
Did you have a spell in publishing?
I did. I worked for several literary agents in New York on a part-time basis, and then I worked a little over a year at Simon & Schuster.
Right. What brought you back, or not back, what brought you from New York, like Caroline in the second book, down here to the Gulf Coast?
Well, my husband brought me back. I actually met him at the Sewanee Writers Conference, and we had this sort of whirlwind love affair. And he was living down here, and I was in New York and struggling with my writing. And he said, why don't you move down here, and you won't have all the New York distractions, and let's try to finish your novel. And he was really a great encourager to me. And, you know, actually he's the one who truly taught me how to be a writer, how you have to really hibernate, and you just have to leave the world, you know, for months at a time to, you know, to get things done.
I was going to wait a little while before I asked you this, but but this seems like a good moment. Writing, serious writing, and those people who are serious athletes, either swimmers or tennis players, which are the two sports, more in the second. Well, both novels, tennis in both novels, swimming in the second novel. They have a lot in common.
Sure.
You were a disciplined tennis player.
They do. You have to practice every day, I think. You have to give up things. People ask you to parties or to movies or to anything. You have to, you know, at times say no, and just, you know, that they could be miffed at you for not going, but you have to be dedicated to a sport or you know, and to writing, and that's what you have to do. You have to really make a full commitment to it.
If you're going to be
if you're going
really
to be good, yeah.
Right.
If you're going to be competitive.
In both novels, in the first novel, and forgive me, Chandler and Sarah sometimes blur
I'm sure
for
there are
me.
4 girls.
But one of those two has the father who's a lawyer, whose business is whose firm is failing.
That's the character of Chandler.
That's
in
Chandler.
A Secret Word.
And then in Point Clear, your heroine has a father who may or may not have committed suicide. That's obviously, when a writer returns to the suddenly absent father, that matters. Matters to you?
It matters to me. My father committed suicide, and I'm imagine for the rest of my life I'll be, you know, struggling with that and trying to, I suppose, find answers in writing fiction. So
it is. The autobiographical in your work is a way for you to deal with the issues of your own life. Okay? This is 2008. For the last 10 years, the #1 genre in America has been memoir. What was the temptation did you have to overcome a temptation to do it as memoir? Because you've certainly done it a lot as fiction.
I haven't thought of writing a memoir. I don't know why, really. I wouldn't mind. I don't really have any trouble with, you know, telling things on myself.
I mean, you have the tennis player.
I have the tennis player.
Fort Smith.
I feel like I'm pretty truthful actually in fiction.
Yes,
Maybe,
yes.
You know, maybe I wouldn't be as honest in memoir. I don't know if members of my family might get upset by it or not.
Well,
I guess
fiction you can make things up.
Fiction, I can make things up and change names, and memoir might be tougher.
Well, your protagonist moves from, she gets a sudden little windfall. Her grandfather dies. She inherits a small amount of money and decides to use it for a month at the Grand Hotel.
At the Grand Hotel.
That's going to use up
It's going to choose, you know, she's
a
using
good
up her
size inheritance. She moves in just before the hurricane. It's Ivan in the book, right?
Yeah, Hurricane
Ivan.
Uh-huh.
And she decides she's not going to move out. She sneaks back into her room and stays through the hurricane.
Right.
What do you think the kind of thematic, symbolic nature or the formative nature of the hurricane is? Why do you put her through it?
Let's see. That's a tough question. Why do I put it? Well, I just thought it was. I don't know. I feel a little bit stuck. It's just. When it was excitement,
she wants to do it.
She wants to do it.
Yes.
I think actually it brings her back to life. Caroline has been really, actually, been just sort of existing. She's not really been in the world of the living, and I think this trip is meant to kind of give her energy, revitalize her.
Oh, I think so too.
And
yeah.
So I guess the hurricane and staying through it makes her feel alive, and
Yeah. Oh, I think.
so that, I guess that's my purpose for.
I think
for doing
so.
that.
I think it energizes her enormously. I think it's kind of like going into battle. It's one of those things where she has this great ordeal, which could have been worse, but it's something. Takes courage. It wakes her up, doesn't it?
Wakes her up, yes.
And then there's Daniel, who's a real tennis player.
He's a real tennis player, yes.
Is their relationship going to thrive?
I think so, actually.
You do?
I think it will work out.
Even though he's clearly a world traveler.
He is a world traveler, but I think that he will. In my mind, their relationship has a very good chance of working out. She's in New York, and he can come and visit her, and he's on tour, and
And you're rooting for him.
I'm rooting for them, yes. People have actually written that it was a one-night stand, that it was nothing, but in my mind, it was a love affair.
Well, they do reunite in Manhattan, and that's very hopeful.
Sure.
Then there's the mysterious swimmer.
His name is Walker Galloway.
Walker, who you keep the reader. Well, I guess you keep Caroline uncertain, and you keep the reader uncertain about whether or not he swims out into Mobile Bay and drowns on purpose.
Yes, that was actually my original idea.
Which?
To have him swim out into the water and not be heard from again, and Caroline would. That was nixed by my editor, and actually Sonny Brewer, writer in town, gave me the idea that Walker should hide out in Middle Bay Lighthouse. Which I thought was insane at first, and then I grew to appreciate it.
So he's okay.
So he's okay, yeah.
Good. The the two books, 3 women in the first book, and then 1 in the second, with a kind of steady geographic flow towards the Gulf Coast.
That's right.
And I understand there's to be a third book, that this is a kind of a trilogy, which there will be 3, not 4 or 5, but you think 3.
This would be it. I mean, maybe 20 years down the road, I may go back to one of these characters and check in, but.
What needs tying up? What will happen in the third book? That I realize that it won't be the same, or will it be the same people?
I'm working on it right now, and I'm working hard. Actually, the writing's going well at the moment, but I am using the same characters from A Secret Word as the point of view characters, and it's 3 first-person narrators, and Lee will actually be the most prominent character in this book.
You're bringing Lee back.
Lee has a big story, And in this book, she is searching for her father, who she'd never met, and a secret word, and that was just sort of dropped in, and you didn't learn that much about it. And she's on a hunt for her father, and she finds out that he is a Cherokee Indian, and she learns of her ancestry. And growing up in Fort Smith, we are just on the border with Oklahoma, and just right over the bridge, not too far away. And Tahlequah, Oklahoma, is the Cherokee Nation.
So it's not too
capital.
far-fetched.
Not too far. No, it's not at all. No. And actually, I've been having a lot of fun learning about the Cherokees, and I've gone over to Tahlequah, and it's all very fascinating.
I read that you'd done even though these are novels that are somewhat autobiographical, and the settings are places where you, in fact, have lived at different times, there's a certain amount of research involved.
Oh, sure.
Right, like swimming.
Swimming. I knew nothing about swimming. And I read this book, I hope I have the name right, called Gold in the Water, about Olympic swimmers or people trying to make the Olympics. And it was just fascinating, just the hard work it takes, the dedication. And I mean, this year, the whole country was enthralled by swimming with Michael Phelps.
Right.
So everybody, it seems like such a hard sport and so much dedication, and most of the time not much payoff at all.
Right. Well, he's very famous now. We'll see if he's famous in a year or two, or if people just forget. What about Chandler and Sarah? Are you going to bring them back too in the last novel?
I am. They're also point of view characters. So 3 first person, I with the present tense, and so they each have their own story. Chandler's living in Point Clear, and Sarah is in Destin, and Sarah and Lee are
both
actually
in Destin.
They're both in Destin, and they are going to be living together. So
I thought in the first novel, A Secret Word, you had one young woman who became a lawyer and didn't like it, and another young woman who, correct me if you think this is too brusque, but became an actress and didn't like it.
Well, she liked it, but she just didn't quite make it as an actress. But I think she liked acting and singing, but she didn't fully dedicate herself to it, which you would have to.
And which of your young women is it who's absolutely obsessed, I think, with a particular dancer?
That is the character of Chandler.
And who's the performer?
The dancer is Savion Glover, who is the best tap dancer in the world by anyone's estimation.
Yeah.
And Chandler, uses. She goes to see this show. It was called Bring Into Noise, Bring Into Funk. It stars Savion Glover, and this happens right after her father died. And by going to this show, it helps her, and she feels like Savion Glover is saving her, and he's getting her through her grief.
And she goes to the show how many times?
A lot of times. 10, 15, 20 times. But that's based on my real experience. After my father died, I went to see Bring Into Noise, Bring Into Funk.
Same dancer.
Same dancer, Savion Glover. And actually, when I was a kid, my mom and dad and I had taken a trip to New York, and on that trip we saw a show with Savion Glover in it when he was a kid, and somehow that just triggered something for me, and I started seeing the show, and I loved it, and I guess it's how, for a lot of people, the church would save them, and that was sort of my church, I guess, going there, and I'd feel comfort there. And
yeah, I think in both the books, the young women get a kind of religious experience from tennis or
art, yeah.
or with Caroline finally writing. How's her writing going?
How's Caroline's
Yes.
writing? I'm not sure. I have not gotten to her yet in the book I'm working on now, but I'm thinking she'll do all right.
Well, at the end of Point Clear, she's working and reworking on her laptop the novel that she has determined she is going to write.
I suspect she'll finish it, and I hope she'll find a.
Well, the versions get better.
The versions.
The
get
drafts
better.
improve.
The drafts improve. Yes.
Right.
And that's just how I do my writing.
In your first book, a secret word. By the way, what's the secret word?
Well, my father used to meditate on a secret word when I was a kid, and I always wanted to know what it was, but
Yes.
he never told me.
Right.
So it's this mantra.
So there's no way that you would read the book carefully enough to deduce what the
No,
secret
there's
word
no,
is.
There's no,
Okay.
no secret word.
You have these two girls who are children of privilege, and the country club, and automobiles, and nice houses, and Lee, who's not so much. There was an opportunity there. A different kind of writer, not you, a different kind of writer, would have had a lot to say about social class and the perhaps tensions and conflicts between the haves and the have-nots. Now, Lee is not starving; she's not homeless, but she certainly has grounds for envy and disgruntlement. But you don't seem to want to go down the kind of Steinbeck social class road. Was it a temptation for you? Is it something you decided against?
It was, yeah, I guess it's something I decided against. I felt like Lee's voice, to help me get into Lee's voice each time I went to her, she has a yearning voice. Lee always wants more and wants a better life for herself. And also, Lee's a bit of a social climber. As much as the other two girls, Chandler and Sarah, they use Lee to get a ride to lunch. In the same breath, Lee's happy to take them because she wants to be friends with Chandler and Sarah, and she wants to be different from her mother and have a different life.
She almost messes it up, though. She marries.
Yes.
What is his name?
His name is Cassidy,
Cassidy,
and he's
yes.
in a band.
Yes, he works in a video store.
In a movie land.
Yes, and the minute he appeared, a little voice in me said, "Oh, don't," but she did.
But she did, yeah. But he's not a bad guy. He's not, he just doesn't have much ambition and didn't want to leave his hometown. And her life felt small, and she wanted something bigger, and she gets it.
And she gets it. Well, just to get rid of
Right,
all of that.
Just to clean herself. Yeah.
You're an educated writer. I mean, some writers it seems as if they walk in out of the desert, but you have a bachelor's degree and an MFA and a lot of reading. Who are the people you read that matter to you?
I love Susan Minot. My favorite book of hers is called Evening, and she writes in a very spare, lyrical way. I'm a fan of Jay McInerney. His first book, Bright Lights, Big City. I thought it was just a very poignant book and also a lot of fun. And I like, recently, my new favorite is Anne Hood. She wrote The Knitting Circle. She wrote actually a memoir called Comfort that I really identify with, and a book called Somewhere Off the Coast of Maine. I'm a huge fan of J.D. Salinger. Huge fan of Raymond Carver. He's probably the first writer, like a lot of writers, the first writer I read I truly loved and wanted to emulate, and I admired his honesty. And he writes about very working class people.
Right. I thought I saw in a couple of places in Point Clear a little hint of Jay McInerney in what Caroline eats and drinks and orders at the restaurant, and the drink that she and Daniel have, and so on. That kind of name brand realism that the Brat Pack, Tammy Janowitz and Bret Easton Ellis and the rest liked to do. Your time in New York may have coincided with a lot of that, right?
It did. Well, I came after them, but I used their books as a bit of like a guidebook as to what to do in New York. When I first got to New York, I wanted to go to Nell's because it's a nightclub. It was big when Jay McInerney was writing, but when I got there, it was a bit passé.
Well, there are certain things in Bright Lights, Big City that are best left alone.
Sure.
He became probably the most famous cocaine novel of his generation.
Yeah.
But he really has done some wonderful stuff. Well, Jennifer, thank you very much. This
Thank you.
this has been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much.
I'll be looking forward to the end of the trilogy, which is titled what?
I don't have a title for it right now.
You sure?
I have a title called "We're from the Same Hometown." I have no idea if that's
Working
a good title.
We're from the same hometown.
It may be too long.
Okay.
But that's what I have so far.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.